Sorry this has taken so long to happen. Last time, I think my mic broke and we had stream problems, and I think we were just starting the YouTube channel, so it was just an absolute nightmare to get done. Managed to get this set up now and thought we'd try and get one during the day to see if it makes life easier for you guys. So what I'm going to talk about today is X-ray searching. For you guys in the Recruiter's Arms, I bang on about this a lot. And I know I've written a few guides and we kind of shared ideas and people have put stuff together, and it's been helpful. So I thought what I'd do today is show minimal amount of slides, because I hate slides, and just really show you how I do it. And if anyone's got any questions or anything like that, you can either in voice chat ask me or type it in and I'll kind of check intermittently throughout this. So I guess I'll start. So X-ray searching, what is it? I know this is really basic for you guys to know what it is, but for anyone watching that doesn't, X-ray searching is basically doing something called a site search. So you look at one specific site and you use Boolean strings to search through it. So if you've got any sites that are directories where information is stored, so if you think about LinkedIn, it's loads of different profiles where everyone has their own web address. So it might be linkedin.com/Tim Chattaway or linkedin.com/Mark Hopkins. You can search for those directories individually. The handy thing about it is, specifically with LinkedIn, people can choose not to show their data. If you're not connected to them and you don't have LinkedIn Recruiter, you're not going to see all their information, and it bypasses that. So you will always get their full profile of everything that they have. If you don't know what Boolean searching is and you work in recruitment, as I say, just go and slap your manager, because yeah, they're not really doing a good job for you. Why bother? So I get asked this a lot. What's the point? I've got job boards, I've got LinkedIn, I can search through stuff. X-ray searching is a tool like anything else in recruitment. You know, you've got your job boards, you've got LinkedIn, you've got your own database. This is just another tool that you have that you can use. And a really small percentage of recruiters actually do this. I mean, this has been around for years and years and years and years, and people have been doing this. But a small percentage of recruiters actually do it. And if you sit there and think you are up against, I don't know, if you're working contingency and you're working a big PSL business, you know, if you're going through Capita or something and you've got 500 agencies going into the NHS or something like that, they're just going on job boards, and they've probably got 200 resources sitting in Hayes or somewhere that are working on the same roles as you. So anything that you can do to give yourself a competitive advantage, and this is one of those ways. As I said a bit earlier, it does circumnavigate paid features of some sites. So LinkedIn, for example, the recruiter package gives you access to everyone's profile. This does exactly the same thing without paying for it. The other thing, Google search algorithm is generally better than everyone else's. How it actually finds people, how it ranks them, it's just a lot better than most databases or systems. So you should get better results up at the top. As I said, it's another avenue to use to source. With the competitive thing, I'm going to try not to moan, but if you think about job boards, for example, it very much comes down to luck sometimes, you know, when someone posts their CV, when it goes online, and what time you get into the office to find that. You know, if someone goes online at 11 o'clock at night and puts their CV online and you're working against 10 other agencies, the first person to get in the office in the morning and run their generic Boolean search is the person that's going to find it. So it's just a way of making sure you don't have to do that, because I don't want to get at 6 AM in the morning anymore to the office just to beat another recruiter who gets in, you know, a little bit earlier than me. So I'm not a fan of slides, plus I really can't be bothered to, you know, do 20 slides about this because I've done it before. So what I'm actually going to do is just kind of show you X-ray searching, how it works, and give you some examples of different sites you can do it on. So let me just make sure no one's saying I can't say stuff or anything like that. No, all fine. So if we look at the first one, LinkedIn, probably the most popular and the easiest one to do. What I will do for everyone after this is put together a document with lists, kind of cheats of how to build a string, just making your life easier, to be honest. So it will just be the start of it. So how it works. So this is the basic site search what I'm covering here. So site beginning and then uk.linkedin.com. If you want to search a different country, if you want to search US, us.linkedin.com, there's loads of different. What we're going to do is we want to make sure that we're covering off these points here, first of all. So minus in titles. When you're doing an X-ray search in Google, you can do a minus beforehand, which is that. And that subtracts that, so you don't want to find it. So say you were doing a Boolean search and you didn't want to find, I don't know, project managers, and you were looking for program managers. You could pretty much just do minus project managers, and it would mean that project managers wouldn't come up in your search. It would not search for that term. So what we're doing is minus in title profiles. We don't want to find lists of profiles. We're also doing minus in dir, so we don't want to find directories, because LinkedIn has a habit sometimes of, you put in the search for Pat Lyons, who's at the top there, it will bring you a list of every time Pat Lyons comes up in a directory search. So that's your basic start to the search. You just put that in. Once again, I will put this in. Next thing you want to do is put your location in. Say we're looking in London, as I generally do. You can do location and then star London. You know, Boolean star just means anything can follow that. So it could be location, you know, semicolon, as we see down here. It just brings up anything after it's London. So it's a way of narrowing it down. You can just put in there London if you so wish, or Manchester. The issue you get with that is if they've ever worked in London, or, you know, they went to school in London or anything like that. This is a way of making sure that 99% of the time, everyone that comes up in your search, that's their exact location. So if we look at my results, London, 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 it just narrows it down a bit better. So it might not remove too many, but it should. I get rid of that. That's not really any point for that at the moment. Next thing, with this search, I can't remember who I was doing it for, but I think they were looking for recruiters in London. What we're going to do is a basic bracket search. So brackets means that you're kind of separating that from the rest of the search. So if you've got loads of ands in a Boolean search, you then do a bracket search with all the ors in between it. So you might go, you know, you're looking for a developer with C++. So you put C++ in, and then you'll do brackets, developer or programmer or whatever else. This is exactly the same way. So we're looking for recruiter, recruitment, or recruiting. In Google, you can do something that's really lazy. You can do or in between each one. However, that means I have to click 3 buttons, and I can't be bothered to click 3 buttons. So you can substitute the or for this little line that if you look down on your keyboard, should be next to the shift button on the left-hand side. Plus it looks neater, and I'm quite a pedant for doing that sort of stuff. So we've got recruiter, recruitment, or recruiting. The next way you can break it down is actually industry, which is another thing a lot of people don't do. So you use LinkedIn's own system, really. They have loads of different industries, loads of different tags. You can have banking, you can have finance, you can have manufacturing or whatever. This way, you know that you're going to get people from that, because a lot of the time when you search for someone who works in banking, you're going to get recruiters that say that they work in banking when realistically they should be staffing and recruitment. So it just helps eliminate certain people from your search and drill down that a little bit more. In this case, we are actually looking for recruiters. So it means that we always get people that are industry staffing and recruitment. And that's how a basic LinkedIn search actually works. It's really simple. I mean, you can play around with that as much as you want. I mean, I've got 56,300. That's a lot. Do you know what I mean? I don't really fancy going through all those. So you could sit there and go, you know, I want someone from an NHS background. You go 7,010. So you could then go through that again and break that down even more and say, okay, maybe I want people with, I don't know, 2 nurses in. people with experience of nursing, residential homes, anything like that. So you can, it's just building on that search now. If you're sitting there with 2,500 results, maybe that's too many. So you want to keep on drilling it down. It's the same as doing any normal Boolean search. What you can do then, say we look at Samantha Moore. A thing that's going on with LinkedIn at the moment is they're turning around and saying they don't want people using third-party applications. So if you've used Hunter or any of those bits in the past, they've kind of blocked them, and people are getting in trouble for it. The one that I found that is still working, please work now, is Contact Out. So Contact Out you can get on the Google Store, the Chrome Store. Give your phone number, email, whatever information it can find, it will actually put that on there. So it doesn't matter if you're connected to them or not. If it's got the information, it'll put it on there. So if you're going to do this, I strongly recommend you go and download Contact Out. Okay. So next one, Facebook. Facebook's a weird one. I know people are getting into Facebook recruitment. In some industries, it's really good. Tech, I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll see how that changes with what they're doing. Their search, very similar to LinkedIn. So we just got the site, facebook.com, in Earl. So we're looking for people that actually, it says people. We don't want to find groups. We don't want to find anything else. And in Earl, I mean, if we look here, you've got facebook.com/people. So you're finding people's profiles, and that's their little code for it. And then we've got minus in Earl teams. You know, I don't want to find, you know, a recruitment company's webpage where it's got information on there. That's not what I'm after. Location, same as before. So we can just put in London on this one. And then our actual search. So recruiter, recruitment consultant, talent acquisition, all that sort of stuff. Lovely. And what that does is it brings up, what, 6,000-ish candidates. And as you can see from the results, Zen recruitment, recruitment consultant, senior talent acquisition advisor, London, blah, 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 blah. So it's just going to bring up loads of people that work in that industry. This is not foolproof. I mean, if you've got a Facebook profile, is yours up to date with your job? Is it up to date with what you're doing in it? Mine isn't. So, you know, you're not going to find me in there. Some people just won't put it. So it's not foolproof. You're not going to find everyone on there, but it's an avenue that you can go down. If everything else isn't working and you're really desperate, go down that route, because contacting people on Facebook's pretty simple. Becky, yes, if they used to be a project manager, it will exclude them in the search on the LinkedIn side. So not the greatest thing to put in there. I generally will do that if there's something really specific I'm not looking for. I don't want them to have a background in it, but very rare that I'll actually do that for a job title or a skill set. But if you want to make sure that you don't find recruitment consultants and you really want to drill down that, you can put in there minus recruiter or minus recruitment. And it'll make sure that recruiters don't actually turn up in your searches. I'm gonna skip Indeed because, well, it's Indeed. So I'm not a robot. You probably will get this up a lot as you X-ray search because reasons. GitHub CV search. This is on my presentation. This is a way of actually searching GitHub purely for CVs. It's really drills down. It's people that actually put in their portfolios, their full CV. It's good for a quick search, but you don't get a huge amount back, I am going to say. So with this one, standard stuff, github.com. GitHub is really aimed for you technical recruiters because it's purely got technical people on there. So for anyone else, you could probably, you know, go make a cup of tea for a minute. What we're looking for in title, it's the same thing again. We're looking for people that actually have CV in their title. So as you can see here, CV Carlos, I'm not even going to try and pronounce people's names, but comrades, CV, so they have CV in the top. We then got our little line here to say or, so I could just put or in there, in Earl, resume, CV, or beta. It's the same thing in here. We're looking for people that actually have CV in the Earl. What we've got now is our actual search. So for this one, I'm looking for people in London with, I think let's just do Scala. So I'm looking for Scala developers. John Shahid's resume. And you get someone's CV come up. That is an impressive task. Sorry, I haven't looked at any of these. And it'll just pull up their actual CVs. I mean, as I said, you don't get a huge amount on there, but if you want to have a quick look, it's more than worth, just doing a search quickly. And as I do, save it up in your taskbar, do the search, add in there, change it a little bit. Yeah, I could just go C++. There you go, 4 CVs. So it's worth having a look at that. The bit that you really want to do is the GitHub X-ray. So same as the other X-ray searches, site.github.com, put joined on in there just because in their profile, it will say joined on. It just stops you bringing up their repositories or other information that you won't, it's not their actual profile. It's just a quick little trick to get their profile up. Next, put in location. So for me, London, and then you search. Once again, for techie, non-techies, you're probably sitting there looking at these words, confused, thinking of Pokemon or something. But what I'm looking for is Python. And then I want either Cassandra, Elastic, Docker, Spark, or Kafka in their profile. Any of that's great. And it'll bring up 204 results. Great. What you can do then is go and have a look at their actual profile. So with this, it pulls up their profile, and I'm using something called OctoHR, which is another Chrome extension, which if you use GitHub or you search on it, download it. It's brilliant. And what it does is it gives them a score on how much their code is actually relevant, what it is that they're putting on their profile. So this chap, most of the work he does is in Python. And then all of this is the rest of it. So CSS, text, closure, all that sort of stuff. And it's quite a good little tool to kind of have a look and see what people are interested in and what they're doing. So, I mean, Python 6%. He's not doing a huge amount of work in Python. A lot of it's in Ruby. So probably more of a Ruby developer than a Python developer. So not a great option. This guy, Java, Groovy, Python. The bit that you want to be looking for with this as well is checking out what they're doing small amounts. So like 4%, 2%, anything below 5%, because it gives you an idea of what they're interested in, but they're not really working on. So they're playing around with it. So when you're selling it into clients and you've got a good candidate, you go, I've got this guy who's doing this, this, and this. He's actually showing some interest in these areas. It's a way of opening up a conversation with them and also speccing them in and sort of saying, look, well, he's interested in this area. He's doing a bit of work here at the moment. Is that an area you could be looking to go down in the future? That sort of thing. The bit with OctoHR as well is, as you can see up the top here, sometimes I'd probably say more than 50% will have their email address, which is pretty handy. I mean, if it doesn't have their email address, you can go and do a lookup on them on LinkedIn easily enough, just putting their name in to LinkedIn and find them that way, and then using contact out to get their details. But quite a lot of the time they will actually have their email addresses on there, which is really handy. But that's a GitHub search. Next one is Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is exactly the same as GitHub, just a different website for developers to hang out on. For Stack Overflow, same site, stackoverflow.com/users. We put users in because we only want to find the users. We don't want to find the repositories, all that sort of stuff. We then put in our locations, so London, Manchester, Bristol, United Kingdom. Then my search, Scala, Cassandra, Playaka. Same sort of searches building up again. And what you'll do is, once again, you'll find people's information. You have a read through, see what they're playing with at the moment. I mean, his main tag, Scala, 192 score, Java, Play Framework, Akka, Scala. So this guy's got pretty much everything that I'm actually looking for. Later. Bristol, okay, perfect. And what you can actually do is, once again, do a reverse lookup on him on LinkedIn and find his actual contact details and find out if he's worth having a chat with. Pretty much just do a search of the name and the skill set, and it should pop them up. So Stack and GitHub, very similar in the way they work. Unfortunately, OctoHR does not work on Stack Overflow, which is a bit annoying. We're moving to some ones. I mean, for the guides I've done in the past, the ones I always do on LinkedIn, Indeed, Facebook, GitHub, Stack Overflow, they're the ones that people use. What people tend to forget is if it's any site that has a directory, you can search it. So there's so many more options. And if you've got common sense, you'll understand what sites you can do this on. So, I mean, Behance is a website for sort of UX, UI type people who like to make pretty pictures and drawings and that sort of thing. So you can search Behance. I mean, you're never going to get a huge amount of people, but when you're looking for things that can be quite rare on the UX side, you will find some good people. I mean, Adobe Illustrator, I think someone was talking to me about recently and saying they couldn't find anyone. There are people out there that you can find. I mean, if I did just a UX search on this one, 85 people. And the great thing about it is you can actually see their portfolios, how good they are, what they're doing, what sort of stuff they've created in the past. And you can go through it and have a look. There will be information about them. They will link their Twitter, their LinkedIn. So you can go straight to someone's webpage and go, okay, she looks pretty good, or not. God, what was the name? So Carlotta Iglesias, productive designer, UI, UX. So that's the person. Contact out. Oh, please verify your email. Ignore that, but once again, we've got our email address. So it will pull up the information that you're actually looking for, but you can have a look through their actual profile and you can send that straight onto a client if they're interested. You can see where she's working. Perfect. See how many people actually like her, see how many people are following her, which is a good way of scoring her. So Behance is one you can play with. Viadeo is another one. Viadeo is a bit like LinkedIn, I guess. Really, really simple. So sitegb.viadeo.com/en/profile, London recruitment. So say I'm looking for recruiters. Easy again. You can build that search up, make it as much information as you actually want on there. It will cover off a lot of information. People seem to put a lot of information on Viadeo. I don't know why, but it does make doing a really strong Boolean search a great way of finding people. And they're really easy to find on LinkedIn straight afterwards. So it can be another little one to play with. Another good one is Golden Line. So Golden Line is LinkedIn for Poland. And it's really, really popular, like ridiculously popular. I had a friend tell me about this years ago, and it's insane how many people are on there and use this over LinkedIn, even if they're based in London. The thing with this is you don't necessarily need to know Polish, but you do need to have some tools that you can learn a bit of Polish on. But even if you just know that London is pretty much the same, except replace the second O with a Y. So site.goldenline.pl, looking in London or London, Python developer and programmista, which is Polish for developer. There you go, learned two things today. I mean, straight away, I'm looking for a Python developer. First one that comes up, if it loads, doesn't want to load. Please don't break computer. Check this. No. Golden Line seems to be having a nervous breakdown. Okay, I'll try another one. Come back to Golden Line in a minute. So another one that we can do, which I've also shown examples in the programs before, is an actual CV search of Google. So people that put their portfolios up, people that have their own individual websites, is a great place to just go and have a look for people. I always find this really works well for PhD candidates. So if you're ever looking for data scientists or biologists, chemists, anything that requires a PhD, you'll find people, and especially people that are very creative. So the types of people you'll find on Behance are very good as well. So in this, I think very similar to what we did on the GitHub search earlier, in title, CV, or in Earl CV. So either way, we're looking for someone's CV in these top two sections here. Minus job. So we don't want Indeed to come up with CV search or CV samples or lists of jobs with people with that skill set on. So it's a way of just drilling down this beginning bit purely on people's CVs and profiles to come up. After that, you can put your Boolean search in. I mean, I've just done a really simple Python web developer, London. Don't really care. You can break that down heavily. I mean, you can look for PhDs, as I said before. with this, it will just bring up their profile. So you get someone's full CV and you get some really crazily good candidates in here. I mean, this chap, for example, PhD in machine learning, MS in machine learning. So anyone that works in a very sort of quantitative or intelligent area will generally come up. So have a look. But it's a fun little way of just doing a really quick search. The thing with this as well, tools. In your Google search, you can actually put a time frame. So a bit like when you go on a job board, I could put, the past year, and I'll get loads of people come up. However, in that last search, I had it broken down to the last week. So these are only people that have put their actual portfolio on in the last week. So 6 days ago, 4 days ago, 4 days ago. So you can actually find current and relevant CVs just by using Google's own search engine. If we do it by a month, 3rd of September, 5th of September, 20th of September. Yeah. Guy from MIT there. I'm sure he's, I'm sure she's very good. But that's how you do a CV search. And it's really, really simple way of just scraping the internet to find people's information, because these are people that potentially won't use job boards and other people won't actually find. We can do Codable. So Codable is another GitHub and Stack Overflow type website where people put their information about coding and ask questions to each other. You generally get a lot of people that do hackathons and that sort of thing on here. I haven't done it today, but Kaggle, if you know what Kaggle competitions are, you can actually do that as well. Oh, that is a terrible profile. That is a terrible profile as well. Codable is quite an old one, I will say. So John Stevenson, community developer in Salesforce and Heroku, London, UK. Community developer running hackathons, dojos, and workshops, answering questions, helping people out. And then they'll put these interests and skills. Once again, you can just go back to them, look them up on LinkedIn and find these types of people. But it's just another way of finding people and finding out what exactly they do, how active they are in the community, are they helpful to people, and what people actually think of them and how they rate them. So it's a good way of building up a picture. These are sort of more desperation ones now than what I'd actually spend a huge amount of time on. Quora or however you want to say it is another one. So Quora, very much another website for people to hang around and ask loads of questions and give sort of SME type questions and advice to people. So same thing, sitequora.com/profile. Just means all I do is ping up people's profiles on this, because as you can see, it's like that. Developer, London, Python. It's really simple. Freelance Python developer in London, answering questions around Python, helping each other out. But it's just another way of getting people's names, information, how much they're active in the community, how good they actually are. Have they got people following them? If you can actually go through people's followers when you're logged in and see what types of people are actually looking at them and kind of take those as well and go away with them and use them to find more candidates. Let's see if I can get Golden Line working again, shall we? Okay. Yeah, there we go. So Golden Line, exactly the same as LinkedIn. It just gives you information. So Python developer at Sainsbury's, Python developer at Startup. Okay. You can do auto translate. You can find information. If you create an account here, you can get the information a little bit easier. But you can also just find them on LinkedIn as well, or you can approach them through the website. Same as LinkedIn, same way, connect to people, send them a message. So it's just a nice other little trick and website that you can actually search through. And basically, that's how X-ray searching works across lots of different platforms. As I say, I'll put a list together and I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it on the website actually, and in the chat group of all the searches and what you need to actually build it. And then all you need to do is put your boolean after. I think James Vickery was building a spreadsheet where all you have to do is put your boolean in. So we'll put something up for that and kind of get that going, which might make it easy. And I'll put it as a blog or something on LinkedIn for those people that aren't on the Recruit's Arms, so you can have a play of it as well. I mean, it's not foolproof. I will never say that LinkedIn is a foolproof solution to sourcing. It's never going to, do everything better than what you do, but it's just another tool to use. And it's one that not a lot of people use. I mean, if you think about JobSite or Reed, you probably have that in your office as a search engine. So does every other recruitment company in the UK. I mean, it's a generalist job board. Everyone's using that. So if you're using that as your main place to go and source candidates, what, are you saying your Boolean searches are better than someone else's? If there's 20 people working on a role, are you better than all those people? Are you checking as regularly as them? It's never going to be as good as something where only sort of 2, 3, 4, 5% of the recruitment population uses. So if you can get good at this, you will find people no one else finds. And that's what can really differentiate you as a good recruiter and a bad recruiter. If you can turn up to, I remember stories of going into places like HSBC, Lloyds, etc. And you could kind of tell them already what candidates they'd seen because you'd run a search on a job site and go, right, I bet you've seen all these candidates. And they go, yeah. You go, right, have you seen these guys? No. They all came from X-ray searching because they came from an area that no one else was playing with. So I strongly advise spending some time getting to grips with it because it will make you a better recruiter and it will make you a better resourcer and you will find people that you didn't find. And if you can start building up a really good profile on places like GitHub or Stack Overflow as a tech recruiter and speaking to people, you will get a lot of recommendations from other people, which is what you want as well to get the job done. And I guess that's it, really. I mean, that's X-ray searching in a really short 30-minute nutshell. And I'll put together lists and everything else. And if anyone needs anything, just send it across to me. Does anyone have any questions? I'm looking at you, chat group. For anyone that's not on the Recruiter's Arms, this is the Recruiter's Arm chat group, by the way. A small snippet of it anyway. And I can see Toby's writing something that's going to be highly intelligent and going to test me. No, you're not. All right, let me just check the YouTube and see if anyone's got any questions. If not, I'm going to make myself another cup of tea. Kaggle, John, I did mention Kaggle. So Kaggle's been a bit of a pain recently. So you did used to be able to kind of search through it. So this is just a basic search. So I'm playing with it at the moment. It used to be really easy. So I mean, if I did a site kaggle.com/users London search, you'd bring up loads of people, like ridiculous amounts of people. And Kaggle's a place for data scientists to hang out. And considering data science is a huge market at the moment, this is brilliant. But I think the last few months, they've really made it hard to kind of X-ray, or they've changed a few things. I've not spent a huge amount of time playing with it. So I need to have a look around this. But that was a really basic X-ray search, just like anyone in London, and I only get 6 results, whereas in the past, you used to get something like 10, 15,000 people. So I don't know what they've done, but it gives you a good way of finding people's information, finding out what they're up to. You know, he's got his own blog spot, so it's going to be easy enough to find his information. I mean, if I take away London, 935 results. I mean, there are thousands upon thousands of people on Kaggle, so I don't know what they've done to kind of hide it, but I'll have a play with that because it does still work, but there must be a trick to it. So if I get that working, I'll shove that on the program as well. Does that help, John? I hope. Okay, I don't think. Hi, John. So, yep, Meetup's a very trial and error one, I will say. Hugely trial and error. So Meetup, I think this is in my other presentation as well, but you could just do a site, meetup.com, member. So you're only looking for members. You don't want events to come up. You don't want to find, Scala Enthusiasts Club in London on Tuesday nights. It's only people. So 14,700 results. The problem they started doing is they've actually kind of started blocking surnames as well now. The good thing is, if you do find people, you will get their other network. So you will get linked to their Twitter, if his Twitter's updated. No. And sometimes they will put their LinkedIn information, or they will put, links to other places where you can actually find them, which is quite handy, but it really depends on how active they are. It is very doable. You also used to be able to do like a reverse lookup of events, so you could see who was going to go to events. So say you wanted to look up that Scala meetup in London, you could run an X-ray search and go, right, Scala meetup London, put the full title in, and then put, I think it was sign-ups in inverted commas, or a list of attendees you could put in to inverted commas, and it would bring you up a list of everyone that was going to it with all their full names. But I think they've kind of fixed that now, so you could kind of get a really easy, quick list of contacts that were interested in going to a Scala meetup, and you could change that to derivatives, or FX, or engineering, or whatever group it is you're interested in. You could kind of get a list of 200 people that were going to it, know who was going and attend, and kind of know who people were, or just start contacting them. But you have to be pretty active on Meetup to actually put your information on there for some reason, but it's all very doable. I do have a guide on that actually that I can send across to you, Becky, if that helps. But I think that's everything. So basically, yeah, I'll put together a couple of guides. I'll put together that Excel spreadsheet with all the basic searches on it for every site I've listed here, plus a few others. I've got a Reddit one, as I've said before in the group. It's not an exact science, so I do apologize for that. But Reddit's a fun one to start playing around with if you're interested in kind of building communities and speaking to people instead of just kind of searching, finding email address and then spamming them. So I just had to cough there. Any more questions? Or can I go and have a cup of tea and cough really loudly, because I really need to cough? No? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone that's attended and watching. I'll put this video online later after I've edited it heavily and removed me coughing and other stuff. But if you have any questions or anything like that afterwards, feel free to ask, or pop me a message on LinkedIn or wherever. And yeah, I'll feel free to answer them. Okay. All right, everyone. Have